See what it does. So connected to the that's funny. Should be on. I believe. See if I'm back up or not. Back up. See if I'm back up or not. Yeah, I'm back up. Cool. Cool. The one Aggie Pride. I see they playing down that way tomorrow. They said it's gonna be on 3 different channels. I don't think I'll be able to get them up here. But yeah, they said they're gonna be on TV. Hey Meech, DM, DWM. Let me clear these energies. James Brown say, I want to get into it, man. I guess I'm gonna pause right there. I guess I should explain this a little bit. So when I start, now I started doing the singing bowls like just on the moon rituals, but I started just incorporating every night because it's a good kind of, there's so much vibration that can come off at any time. Anybody can watch this. They could just watch that part, and it would kind of cleanse the little area around them. And that's why sometimes, like, what happens is, how can I say this? We can make a spiritually pretty much something that nothing can break through it. But just like all things, like air, if air is held, it'll leak, and you can have leaks because one of the messed up things is the constant attachments that join us. And so as things can come in, they don't really like sounds like these. Like even if you had just some tuning forks, they really don't like that stuff, because tuning forks, you can go really low and it really runs that kind of thing out here. But like what I would listen for is I can tell like where it'll hit a dead spot. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. It's like I can see or I can hear when, like this, especially this one really clears out everything. And I could just hear where it's penetrating further out and it's kind of probing. And then you can hear kind of where it sees something that it has to dissipate. So, and you can do something similar if you had one or a little drum or whatever you had. It's just a way to, not drums, not as high pitch. So maybe I'll take back the drum, but really these bells, a whistle would even do. So, but that's what I'm looking for. Or that's what I'm listening for. Because really, when I'm doing this, I'm really counting on this one to really clear out things the most, because this one has the highest pitch. And this will penetrate this whole room. And you can actually hear this. I can hear this like bouncing off the walls. I mean, it really starts penetrating pretty deep. Okay, that was pretty good because I just heard it and then I heard it raise. So yeah, it must be pretty good in here. Because it's like almost an all clear signal. Like it got louder and I didn't do anything else. It was like I had the constant motion and I heard it like it took a pitch and then it went up. It's like, oh, okay, it's not a lot around. And that's kind of cool. And I had all the different ones to just kind of get the different kind of different vibrations. And really, you're seeing where we're going from a higher pitch to a deeper pitch. And what really attracted me to this bowl is this is the only one. I mean, of course, the big one, but this one, like when it gets into it, it starts going through me and so it's really unique in that matter. It's kind of why I bought it. The first time I did this with it at the store, I was like, oh shit, this thing a rock in my hand. See, did you hear it hit the metal? It vibrated the metal, vibrated my ring. Give everybody the big Virga, the vibration of the Virga. I think the Argonite makes it a little heavy. Give it a go here. All right. Still hard to do without something holding it. Well, good evening, good morning, good morning. What is happening? You've never watched me. I go by 8 Wind is Timeless. I am the holder of the infinite sacred ball game created by the Hero Twins. And I am also your galactic daddy-o, sitting and welcoming you all on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And I'm not drinking. I drink more than enough. Pop them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. And Drakkar for the man that needs it. For the man that needs it. I guess I could say that. but having a clear space is beneficial to everybody. And let me tell you, I had 2 things where I'll go with what happened today. So one of the nurses came and checked me out today, came to the crib, yearly thing. They come check me out at the crib. And so she gave me a little thought. Well, she started talking about something, and I was like, okay, this too. And just sure enough, she brought it up. It was so funny. So watching the baseball game, and I'm looking at the it must have been Tampa Bay, because they still lost. Tampa Bay, it was a grand slam. And I looked at the 2 previous pitches, and the announcer said, well, if he throws a change up, he hasn't thrown a change up yet. And I was like, wait a minute, they're going to set this up for this to be a grand slam. Very next pitch, a grand slam. I mean, I had looked at it like, because he said with a change up, and I was looking at it, I was like, change up, fastball, dude threw the fastball right over the plate, boom. So kind of able to break the script down. Now I only got a couple notes, but one note kind of goes with, put that there for now. It kind of goes how you can really see. All right, let me say, I guess this is what I want to say. The way things are set up, it makes us sometimes feel like the phones and everything is really spying on us. I mean, it really makes us think that. But in the Matrix point of view, it doesn't necessarily have to do that. I mean, what did she tell you about the trees and the birds in the Matrix? She said they already just do their purpose. So some of these things is like these like we all feel that we're so important that it's always on us, but it's not. It is made just to move. And see, what people don't understand is once the program is wrote, the thing will work by itself to work against you or for you. They don't always need to monitor the thing that is going now. Now, yesterday, I saw something that it was just a few different things that happened, and I'm just looking at this like, okay, I know I'm not monitored, not like that. And I'm like, okay. But then the illusion really brought itself 360 degrees far as how this thing works. Yesterday, I'm playing paddleball. And so I got there a little later than normal. But this dude came in. And how can I make you see this? How can I say this? All right. So just switching the topic a little bit. I've always my whole life watching people hoop, I always saw a certain kind of dude hoop. The dude would be a little shorter than me, like 5'10", 5'11". And the guys all played very similar, moved similar. They all had really similar moves of dudes that were older than me. I saw like this, and dudes I knew. But a lot of the cats that was this, I saw them when they got old too. And just the way they were, the way you could see that the dude gets a little sauce. So I'm getting ready to play, and this guy comes in, and this is a European that has all them same traits. And I don't mean like hang with brothers. No. I mean, this was that same version of person, but he was just a European cat. But it was like, I'm looking at this dude, I'm looking him up and down. I'm like, damn, look at what this thing did. Because I'm more active. And this guy lives around me apparently. But it's no possible way. Now, I always say people look alike, but it is no possible way that guy could exist the way he existed. Having all these things I have witnessed for years and years of seeing, because it's like my one friend AJ, because the way both of them moved upward. Ray J was a real stiff-chested dude, but his handles was crazy. But this guy it was just so. This shows you that this thing is just. It is just so much of a sometimes it just brings some false stuff that you just look at and like so I said what's up to the one and Meech. Hey, Liquid Fire, thank you for coming in. Soap, thank you for joining us. I do appreciate it. Dobie, Wide or Fury, wow. I think all the money is out of Fury. I love Fury when he's at his best. I got to rewatch the weigh-in. I saw they showing it all night, so I'll rewatch the weigh-in. I'll say the longer term money, because there's a lot. Like Fury can't fight in England. Now we just saw 100,000 people to fight in England with the other heavyweight fight. You don't think they want to do that again? And they can't do that with Fury, because Fury, they put him out of that association there. Now, did anybody see that he weighed 300? Because that's what they were saying a couple weeks ago. He was still around 300. And he is taller, but 300 was out of fighting shape. I would say Wilder has the longer looking career, and he's not young. Wilder's what, 34, 35. I mean, I think Fury's maybe a little older. So I would just say Wilder for probably moving ahead to fight this other guy. Because I don't think Fury can fight in Russia either. Maybe you guys can look that up, but I don't think he can fight in Russia. It's a couple countries he can't fight in. Hey, PJ, what's happening? Conspiracy University, what's going on? Lobo. Anise, thank you for joining. I think that's everybody. What's happening? So that's how I look at it. I love Fury's, his history with his family, but just his style is very unique. The last fight, it looked like one of them fights where they was like, okay, do this, do that. It was really nothing. I mean, not really. I mean, you can't really say Wilder put an effort. Did he have something in the gloves or not? I don't know. He stood up. But remember, this is what the most telling of the second fight was. Rewatch it again, and when they do the final in the ring interview with Wilder, he says, "I hope you like the show." He said, "I did the best I could do, and I hope you like the show." That's what he said, live on TV. I hope you like the show. So right there, he was kind of telling you it was a show. Because hell, all the money was on Wilder, wasn't it? Like in America, wasn't most of the money on him? So Fury wins. Fury's based on 33. That's a good point. Oh, Fury is younger. Okay, because I think Wilder started late. He 34, 35. So Fury's like, okay. I just think it's more upside to Wilder than Fury. Looks like they're trying to box Fury in. Does he love it? We'll see. I mean, it's hard to gauge any of that when you don't really constantly see him. Wins based on 33. Fury wins based on 33. Fury is 33. Wilder's 35. Okay. Yeah, I knew Wilder was older. I just think it's going to be easier to sell Wilder to the other fight than Fury, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Fury is the perfect. Like the first fight, I really can't say Fury dominated, but Fury made him miss a lot in the first fight. He really did. I think people gave a lot of scoring to Fury early in that first fight when I don't know if it was as clear of scoring as some people suggested in the first fight. I don't think so. I think it was much closer. If you really looked at punches in the first fight, was Fury throwing a lot of power punches. Wilder was throwing the heavier punches. And so I had Wilder by a little. First fight, now the second fight, but you know the money was on Wilder, and so somebody got paid because a lot of brothers still for months talking about the gloves. That didn't matter. What mattered is when you had the ticket and they said Fury won and you had Fury, you won. It didn't matter what anybody said, the aftermath, and you know everybody jumping on whatever. That don't matter. Once they say who won, that's it. So I just think, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I like top moving Fury. The angles. He's Ali like pulling back from punches. I mean, rewatch that first fight. He's like he was pulling back when he got caught knocked down. He just didn't pull back quick enough, and he caught him because he was trying to pull back. But in the first fight, brilliant feigning, brilliant put. The modern martial artist, look at his breakdown of Fury in that first fight. He does it beautifully, and it just shows you his skill. His skill is as just a prize fighter. He makes it more of an art compared to Wilder just being a hard hitting dude. Fury really does the art more than a lot of them. I would say Fury would beat the younger dude. Or the other champion, I would say Fury over him. That other guy punched all the time. I don't know if Wilder could take that. And if Wilder was put in a tighter situation from that dude, you know, where he couldn't really paw out, that dude, he's punching. I don't know if Wilder could take it. Fury style could neutralize that. Again, a top Fury. Just this, he would have an easier time with that dude. I think Fury would have an easier time beating the Ukraine guy than Wilder would. I think it would be a harder fight with Wilder because dude, now if Wilder could keep him off him, but dude was moving, and he would be a tougher, and because he could hit too, he would be, I think it would be a better fight with Fury. So maybe that's the way it'll go. I think Fury, watching him and Fury fight would be the better fight, I think, because of styles. I just don't know. That dude, I think, could get inside and hit Wilder. I really think he could. I don't think Wilder's power would keep him off all the time. Whereas Fury has so much more than just a hard jab and then coming across. Fury would give him so many more problems because of the different angles and the feints and where he could bring the punches from. because he was Ali like. Remember that one fight, he dropped his hands and he was breaking them from the hips. So styles make fights, you know. I heard them talking about the guy Wilder's training now. That has me leaning towards Wilder. I still think he's more marketable moving forward. Uh, it hurts Fury not being able to fight in Wembley Stadium. It really does, because that would be natural. I mean, that last fight was close to, I think, 100,000 people up in there. That's why the NFL plays there Sunday. The NFL plays in Wembley Stadium Sunday. The game come on 8 o'clock here. I ain't gonna watch it. Wow, what's going on? The show, who's a sheep and who's not? But back to this dude I saw. This just is beyond ridiculous. Now I'll probably see him again. I liked him immediately because just his attitude was an attitude like dudes I've met and known like that. I knew I would get along with him as we playing. And let me tell you, I've played pickleball the last 7 straight days. And today, and I got the new racket, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this game. I played with my old LeBrons, I think LeBrons 11, 12, put even my old inserts, you know, I get them specially made inserts. And I'm walking. I'm like, I like the braces, I have trouble moving back and forth. When I wear the Richie braces, I'm real slow. There's just ways I can't move. And I'm learning the game too. I play 6 games. I'm like, we played 3 games like it wasn't shit. And then we went on this other court because that's just with people always moving. You lose, it's kind of cool because you lose. It's if it's just a certain amount of people there, you just move, play with some more people, and you just constantly play. Some of the people play 3-4 hours nonstop. And I am like sore, like I done went through football practice and ran on some grass. And it's such an arm game. It is just a total arm game. And now I learned how to block. And, you know, I'm both handed, kind of. I'm pretty much, I can use either hand. I think some of my problem is sometimes I probably should just play left-handed. I really think I could. But I could block right-handed. And I'm getting the blocks because the net and the shots can only come some way. And I'm kind of picking up on that stuff. And with the better paddle, it's fun. And then practice shots. Even like I tell my son and my friends, like, even though you might lose the game, practice shots. Because a person serves it to me, I automatically return it down my baseline to that other guy. So love pickleball. The rackets can be costly, but it's worth it. I'll say that. If you're a kind of person that picks up on things fairly quick, spend $80 to $100 and get your racket. It'll be well worth your development. Well worth your development. Now, the first set I bought, I think it was $10 rackets. No, maybe the first set was $40. Yeah, so it's $20 rackets each. I turned around and bought another $30 racket, but by the Franklin, the same company. And one of the $20 rackets failed. I taped it up enough where you could play, but it failed. And it's just dead spots get on those type of rackets. Like you use it so many times and it'll hit and it'll be like just dead. It'd be a dead hit. And so it's just the liveliness of your racket. If you pick up on things quicker would be worth it. I would just say anybody, just spend a little more money. It'll be funner for you. It'll be funner for you. And that's all it is. It's just fun. Shit, I saw a dude hit a shot, and these balls come quick. He put the racket behind his back, and he caught the shot. He like had his back turned, like his back faced the net, and he caught the shot coming towards him. He put his racket behind his back and hit it, and it went to the other side. It went to the other side. It was a really great shot. I only saw it because we was getting ready to serve, so I was just happened to be facing that way. And his back was turned to the play, but he saw the shot coming. He put his hand behind. And then I saw a shot, like there's a place called the kitchen where if the ball bounces in it, you can step in it. But other than that, you have to stay behind it to do your shots. This ball came into it, and then it bounced back over the net, which I thought was there was no spin on the ball for the ball to hit and then go back over. I was like, this is some bullshit right here, but it did it. It did it. So I like being active. I did over 3 miles. So you like being active. And then I lift every day. I do the battle rope. Especially now winter comes. Shoot, they say when the wintertime they go play where we started playing and they just shovel the court. I'm with that too. Because some of the winter days it'd be dry outside. it don't always be just bad. I mean, it might be a couple of days of bad snow and in the roads, but they be out there working on that shit. And after that, the shit dry up. They don't like it just continue. The highways be clear most of the time. They do need to drive through this mud too. So there it is. That's all I really had. Yeah, that's really all my little notes. I don't have a whole bunch of notes. I saw they arrested that Kosik dude. What's going on? This is showing who's a sheep and who's not. Where did I get? Oh, right here. Been losing friends and feeling so detached from this matrix. Just do the divide here in Australia. Yeah, I saw that they arrested that Kozak dude. Talking about because he was talking against the virus, they arrested him. I saw that. It is well, add anything you can add. Spike ball is fun. Yeah, it is, Loba. I enjoy it. Yeah, I heard the spike ball. It was a dude from New Zealand that we play with. I played with yesterday. He's been up there. He said he's on he works mission work, and he says he said he lived in Australia for a couple years, but he's from New Zealand and he's going to leave in November. He's been here 6 months. His wife is from here, but they're going back to New Zealand. So I wondered what he thought about it now. But yeah, I've been playing pretty much weekly since July. When I came back from July with the rackets, we just started going over there. Me and my daughter, and then now I haven't played handball. I haven't played handball not in a long time. You're talking about handball against the wall, right? Because there was another game. Well, speedball, but handball can be two different versions. Well, I guess racquetball, but what is the other game? Is it paddleball you play in the racquetball court? But it used to be a handball we played with like a racquetball racket too. So if that's what you mean, handball. No, I've played that off the wall, but haven't played it. And it's funny, racquetball remind me of, I've talked about this before, the super balls, like the first little rubber balls that we take for granted, the little tiny balls being gumballs. Well, the first ball was like that, about that big. It was like not big as a softball, but slightly smaller than a baseball. And spike ball. Okay, yeah. But no, I haven't played handball in a while. Spike ball is another game. You ever play squash? Yeah, I play squash too. I play squash. Field hockey with the field hockey mallets. They have the curved up mallets. I played all that stuff because I had a class I took in college. Hey, Crazy Sarge, thank you for joining. Yeah, you hit the ball against the wall. Yeah, you throw the ball against the wall. Yeah, I was just saying with the Super Balls, the first ones that came out, we used to kind of just do that with them Super Balls, and them Super Balls were handball. Don't play with a ball as lively as the first Super Balls that came out. That's what the Super Bowl is named after, that ball. The guy had bought his daughter a ball and looked at the packaging. He had bought the thing, or his wife bought it, and then he looked at the packaging and was like, okay, Super Bowl. At least that's the story. Volleyball's played on the racket court as well. Okay. What is the one they play in Miami? They play with the rackets, and they play the rackets against the walls. Remember, Miami Vice used to show, because I used to have a cup for years from one of them games. But they throw the racket off the side of the wall, and then they catch them with them rackets. They play that in Miami. It's a gambling. You gamble on it. You can bet on the games. They used to come on ESPN for a minute, but people bet on that stuff. High lie. Is that what it's called? High lie, something like that. High lie. But you could bet on that stuff. But it's all kind of games. I mean, Camaro's, I think that's his name. He made a video, and I see you some of my stuff, but that's cool with me. Some of my inspiration, and just showing how really it all comes from all games comes from the South America. I mean, there's so many versions. It's so many versions, and really just watching it evolve from just children started it. Children would get, when they would make things, there would be excess, or the excess would come from trees. They would have little bubbles sometimes. And as I said before, it'd be just the leftover parts that at first the children would just play with and throw at each other. That's how I started with the Omen started doing it. And then later, as people picked up more on what the children were doing, it was like, well, because get the pieces weren't staying as durable, and so they started making durable balls. And they've even found some balls that was just solid rubber, like hollow inside, like hollow, like the blow up balls. They were forming some balls like that. They didn't do them like that. It was more like a super ball. It was more round, bouncier left in it, but they learned how to make this, the balls where it could travel a little better. And all that comes from America. So that all these games are based off that kind of thing. I mean, like if you really think of how sports, especially like tennis, is the hero twins. When I'm talking about right now, playing pickleball or even spike ball, when you play teams, it's still the hero twins against the hero twins, or the hero twins against the Goods or the Ogs, or the Dark Lords, whatever you want to call them. It's that same thing. I mean, you can even break sports down. You can look at basketball as really a movement of the hero twins as well. Because the hero twins against the hero twins. I mean, the hero twins, this is a replication of them in every aspect, and every move that's ever been done, it's been done. Do you understand that? It is all from that kind of energy. And that's why certain people want to control this kind of thing, because they saw from an early age that this could control a society. As I said before, they do the propaganda with the athletes participating, even the older athletes, because people are really just controlled easy. Some people aren't political, and these people only really relate through athletes. And this is the only kind of thing that will influence them. They won't be influenced by politics or the news. They're influenced by sports. And they saw that years ago. I mean, back with the thing with Ali, the people that loved him and the people that hated him for not going to Vietnam. And I mean, people really hated him. The people that had loved him after he didn't go to Vietnam, is people that really hated him. I remember seeing that on TV. Watch some of his older autobiographies, and they talk about families divided on Ali. I remember back in the day, ESPN showed all kinds of sports, from roller skating, frisbee, log rolling. Now it's being just another sports channel. Well, but I've got so many sports channel, like Australian rules football, and I'm cheating. The guy from New Zealand just told me, he said Australian rules football just ended, and rugby is shown on what is this, Fox North or whatever, Bally's. Like they show they'll show rugby, but Australian rules football, I guess they just had their final. They show Canadian football too. I don't think it came on tonight. I watched all the playoff games. It was, I think, 3 playoff games on tonight, so I watched that. So I don't mind it, Denise. I don't mind it. I like it anyway. But it's every day. It's like they're trying to show you so many ways that all this stuff of these old movies, that's in everybody the back of their heads. It's like, is this doom and gloom, and what are we going to do? How are we preparing? So TSN shows Canadian football. Yeah. It generally last Saturday late. I want to say last Friday too. But I think because of the baseball, like Cincinnati killed Tulane, Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is ranked 5th. They're projecting Michigan might make if Michigan wins out, they project, and when Michigan wins the Big Ten, they projecting Michigan might be in the bowl bid. We'll see. We'll see if they are or not. Oh, tomorrow I'm Crazy Sarge. Since Crazy Sarge is watching, I talked to my brother. He'll agree to come on. Maybe we all 3 can come on, bring out our mirrors, and then try to get the people to want to do that type of practice. to amplify and see if we can open it up for people. I was thinking about doing that tomorrow. So look at your. I'll check with my brother to see if he'll do it. And it'll be earlier. It'll be earlier. It won't be late. It'll be early. So we can try that because my brother said something interesting about the mirrors, and when you do mirror work, and I don't have a skull or my crystal ball here, but what's interesting, even like looking at the mirror, like you can even look at a mirror, and you can look at the bathroom mirror, and what you'll see if you concentrate on just yourself, your eyes will eventually disappear, and you'll just see like a body form with eyelets almost. If you look in the mirror long enough, you'll just see a body with like without eyes. It's an interesting kind of thing if you can hold it long enough. Now, if you don't concentrate on yourself, there's other things that you can concentrate on the mirror that you can kind of trans with the mirror. You can use that too. That's why I easy transition here. That's why I still don't, and I'm the only one. No, none of these people get about the exercise mirror thing and how that more than anything would help the flat plane people's point of view. Because if I said before, the reason why they're showing you them mirrors is eventually you're going to be able to go into that mirror existence, and the mirror existence beings can come out. That is what they're setting up. There was a thing a long time ago. A dude said he came from the future, and he didn't know that his friend, if he went into the AI kind of stuff, he didn't know he'd be locked in there. That's could be a possibility. You'd have to know how to come back out of it, but that's what it's for. That's what it's, and I've talked about this before. This is what that's going to turn into, because that's flat plane that is just its existence. It's illusionary, more illusionary plane, which does go with this existence too. But that should be their argument there. But that's what that is for, to step into the mirror world and you in a different world. It's like the holodeck. You almost get to step into like the holodeck from Star Trek or Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's almost like that. They get to come out and you get to go in. I don't know if that's fringe like, somewhat, because it's flat plane dimensions crossing a little bit. So I saw the commercials today. It seems like they've kind of pulled back from the one just in front of you, and they're trying to sucker more people in the one with the weights, which does seem it does seem very useful that it has the weights and can give you the resistance. But it's the same. It's all basically the same principle, and a little bit like the Jetsons. The Jetsons used to show that, where you'd watch, the hologram being able to work out, have a separate workout on the big screen. It used to show that too. But it's just one of my observations. I didn't have a whole lot planned tonight. Just kind of winging it. Really no. Well, I guess that again, I could start with. Can't say the stores don't have a lot of stuff, but one thing I do notice is I haven't seen a lot of Halloween stuff. I go into Walgreens and they're usually packed with Halloween stuff, and not really. And you know how they put stuff. And I haven't been in Walmart in a while. Since Halloween stuff, I haven't been in Walmart. So I don't know. But it's like Walgreens would usually have a whole wall full of Halloween stuff. So I don't know if anybody else is checking any kind of shortages yet. I haven't seen any real food shortages though. And that's tough because the growing season is about over for most of the country. So unless you grow something inside. So I guess it wouldn't hurt to hold on to cans and beans and that kind of stuff, and water, and a way to purify the water. Because that would get us before anything else was lack of water. So I've got some things down here I've got dated under this little cabinet here that I got to pour out and put some fresh in there, purify it. You think of food shortage coming. Also, did you think about Facebook and Instagram outages? Well, there was some heat put on their ass, and so I don't know. I think because of that heat put on them that they had to check out because they're the same. You know, Instagram and Facebook is the same, and so I think they didn't know when they took that hit. They kind of had to adjust to that hit they just took, and so I think they were scrambling to see the legalities and being prepared. I think they thought it was best to take a break and prepare for what's coming at them. That's what it seemed like to me. I got enough MRE for all of us, homie. Oh, that's cool. That's real cool. Yeah, because I just looked at some property, prime 68 acres. 68 acres on a lake. And so it's like all your 68 acres go damn near halfway around the lake. So it's almost your little it's only like it looks like the properties there's only one or two other properties that have claim to the lake, and the lake is 10 feet. So you can take little boats out there and shit. So, but 68 acres. And then I saw another property that had 10 or 15 acres on it. But the one with the lake was cool. It had a pool out there and a lake. And I was just thinking that you could build in front instead of building in back of the house. You could just build out more in front if you wanted to add, because the house is only maybe 5,000 square feet. Not a terribly big house. But on almost a private lake, which is kind of cool. So, and not too far from where I am now. So that's the kind of thing. Get the meals ready to eat at the military ones. Yeah. Yeah, I've always caught sales on those. The children like some of that stuff, so they eat it. And food will last. Food will last for a long time. I mean, I've told the story before. I worked at one of the security contracts I had. We had this building, and the building was a bomb shelter because what they did during the Cold War is they had they had places where if it blew up above you, they're so long you got to stay underground so the radiation clouds can move by and everything, supposedly. And so there was food, and I've said before the food started leaking, so they had to go down there. But some of the boxes was fine. Some of them, and most of the food problems was from the boxes collapsing in the weight, not necessarily the packages that didn't get bothered. Most of that stuff was still okay. So if you hungry, you could eat it. I'm reloaded on rice and dry beans. Yeah, I got a bunch. I threw a bunch of dry beans away, and I had them about 2 years, and I feel bad I did because I've had them for about 2 years. I was like, but yeah, I feel bad about throwing them away. Pinto beans too. I was thinking about making some pinto beans. That's what I might do this weekend for me. Make my daughter and my son some goulash. Make myself some pinto beans. But I got a bunch of potatoes I got to knock out. Hey Nick, what's happening, man? You driving to the house? Well, be safe, brother. Always say a prayer for you. I know you out there in them streets, so be safe, brother. Yeah, and this is no, I think you on my time, or you're on mountain time, aren't you? Texas. I think you are an hour behind me, not the full 2 hours. California, because California, I'm on Central Time, so California only 2 hours. But you be safe, bro. You be out on them highways and them roads and them big rigs. Man, oh brother Nick, that was tripping me out because somebody else had showed the beginning of that person. Texas, so we the same time. Yeah, so it's still 1 o'clock for you then. Okay, yeah, it's the same time I am. But yeah, that stuff about that chick is funny. And this is what let me add to this, Nick. It is a lot of women that really think they models because they take model like pictures on Facebook every day. And then women be kind of like what Nick was showing. These women be like my cousin she's a petite little girl, but she's had 5 children by maybe 3 different men. And she's young. We had a generational curse. And I can't say it's a curse. Maybe in a way it's not a curse, but the way it moved through the family, you would kind of see that it had a little of that curse like energy to it. But my aunt had a child young. Her daughter had a child young. Her daughter's son had the girl I'm talking about young. She had a child young. She was, I think, the oldest out of all of them. I think when she had a child, she was 16 or 17. The rest of them was you take guess the ages, but she was the oldest. But it went through all of them, and to have children is great. But I just look at her and the picture she takes, and it's like some of these chicks really, in their minds, since they have Facebook, they really think they're like supermodel status. It's really kind of funny. And like especially my cousin, she has 5 children. And and just the little things that she's had to go through being a young woman and having 5 children and having relationships. Some of these girls be coming off like they think they models and they think they're really more than like they think they're movie star TV status. They really do. I see it over and over again, and it's like, lady, it's a lot to put up with. Yeah, constant validation. Exactly. So, as I said before, like Facebook is such a robotic thing. You're literally go through rows of, like, now they got that little strip that go across. You'll see the same pose by different women, but then you'll go into the main feed and you'll see the same pose by women from all around the world. How is that possible? You see the same pose. Like, you'll see it up top through the strip, and you'll see if you go through it. I mean, how is it at the same time these days that women do the same thing? As I was saying, if you looked at the illusionary aspect of this thing, that would make no sense. I'm loaded on rice and beans and other stuff. Yeah, that's why I was thinking of you was making me think of getting them 68 acres up here. Should get a generator, get a couple of them, and yeah, and it's on a lake. It's on the lake, so I would automatically have fish, and there's land, so there's something in there I could probably trap. So, fake reality IG, everyone best version only. Exactly. 2 strikes, can't upload on my main page. 2 weeks. I'm going to pull down my main stuff that I want as soon as I get in tomorrow. Wow. Well, I'll say this, they took my channel down, my other channel, they took my channel down with no strikes, like just mid-sentence, without any strikes at all. I had 1 strike like years before. That channel was from 14. I had that channel up since 14, putting content up at least since 16. And all that's gone. Like days within Biden taking over, like the 5th or 6th. And all I told the story is about it, what my doctor told me. And it really wasn't nothing bad. It was just saying that one of the doctors, after how he felt after his situation with this thing. And no strikes or anything. And that's their own policy, is to give you strikes and say smack you on the hand. But no, they just took my stuff off. And I didn't think I had said stuff before that I thought was different than that. So I thought that was mild. But again, I looked at the change of regime and who they was trying to please. And that showed you a new regime came right in. That's where that came from. Because I think my stuff, and under Trump, my stuff seemed to be okay. Well, when this new regime came in, apparently not. They didn't seem to like my new stuff. So, and it's all it's not organic. I mean, there's no way it's organic. Fires all this stuff, the way they set it up, the views and the likes and the algorithms of who gets paid what. It's so fake. I've said before, my best show, I don't know how much Zach made on that show about the damn dollar that he shared of mine, but that one, I've said before, that one got 100,000 views, which is still only about $800. So, and then my personal best show did 62,000 views on the stupid hit on was a quarterback for the Bears now. when he got hit late when he played for the Cowboys. No way that video was any better. It was still me taping off the TV and everything. It was not a big deal. Now the one with Cam did okay too. That did 20 or 30. When Watts, I proved that Watts was trying to hurt Cam. Now I don't think Wilson. I don't think Wilson was trying to get hurt when his finger was like that thing was turned. He broke that digit in there because all this was like this was. If you really notice this, it appeared like some of this in here was kind of jammed up too, but it looked like that digit was totally like. And for a quarterback, they was talking about putting a splint or something for a quarterback. Come on, you can't put nothing on your hand like that, unless he could put the splint on with a glove. That I could see doable, but they said 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks. So that digit looked broken. So, because he just threw the ball. That's how I broke this one. Had to have surgery on it. The guy threw a ball, and when I went to block the ball, he threw the ball, and then he caught my finger, and he just bent it back in an odd way because he was throwing the ball so hard, and it just where he caught my finger, he just caught it, and pow. And then I was just thinking maybe my knuckle was jammed inside, because sometimes you jam it in your knuckle, you can pull it out. And I asked my coach, and what he did is he broke it again because he thought the same thing, but it was broken this way. With him jamming it out, he broke it up here too. When he popped it out, he broke it again. So I had to have pins in this sucker. And it's been like that since I was in 8th grade. That was my first surgery in 8th grade. And they ain't put me out. They just made my arm numb. And they're all talking to me. And I'm probably about 5'10". Yeah, I was in 8th grade. I was probably 5'10". And they're all talking to me. And then finally one of the nurses says, "How old are you?" I'm like, what in 8th grade? 13? I think I was still 13. I was like, I'm 13. She's like, "Oh, we're sorry. We would have treated you a little differently." I guess they thought I was in college or something or high school. I don't know. I kind of laughed. But that's an injury. I remember I saw you on slides right after that. Yeah. It was me and Sly, man. We started doing I started doing with Sly in 17, like the summer of 17. That's when that long ago, from 17, that summer. Yeah, we used to do with Darkman X back then, that long ago. Time goes by. Time really goes by. So it's a good community I think we put together. Did you ever feel lonely? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is like being a god is lonely. Being a god is lonely. I mean, I'm by myself the majority of the time. I mean, I got friends that come by, but most of the time I'm just by myself. I just don't mix my energies. I mean, I shop and all that stuff, but just I really on a personal level, I don't mix my energies with just anybody. I really keep to myself a lot. And I like going out playing ball and stuff like that, but as far as just my personal space, it's not a very. I've only got a few people I just go chill with. Like, I'm seeing if I'm gonna watch the fight here tomorrow, or I'm gonna watch the fight with my guy. I'm about to call him up and see how we're gonna do this tomorrow. So I got a few friends like that, but like even women I meet, it's just like I just can't mingle with anybody. I just know it's a waste of time, because I don't like not being my full self, and I'm too much. I'm like a storm, and I don't mean problems and stuff like that. No, just intellectually, because I have to tell, like, when people try to get to know me, I have to just tell them stuff, and it's like it's too much for some people. It's too much, and I realize that. And you know, I always say read the crowd. That's a big thing, but it's just with me. I just don't want to be around everybody. It's like I was telling the story, dude. Like my son's friend trying to buy a hooker for me, and I'm like, I really just don't really want to trade those kind of energies. I just don't. I mean, that's something that I don't need around me. I mean, he had the best intentions, but it's just I don't need that around me. Not at 60. My life really ain't chasing like it used to be. And so, yeah. So yeah, it could be. But I've said this before. I really, and I don't want to contradict myself, but now far as just I'm not. I can't tell you what lonely far as like feeling alone. I can understand spiritually being alone. That's to me two different things. Now, as far as personally just being alone, that doesn't bother me. I feel good in my own company. My mother, my son, we're all like that. We're find joy in our own company. I mean, of course, I have children that still live with me. So, but yeah, but spiritually, yeah, it gets because it's. I mean, just even going through the world, it's like when he's taking Neo through the Matrix, and they see the lady in the red dress. It appears and it feels real. Like that's why they have him bump into somebody. That's the metaphor for showing you that it is real. What he's showing him is real. That's why the people bump into him. But it seems like that sometimes, even though some of it feels real. You have to just think of these other things as like, how can this be possible? There's so many, especially now, impossibilities that we come across. And I mean, spiritually, you definitely you if you fully get into your full awareness through knowing and not belief, knowing, and it's whatever you find your knowing take you, and however your awareness is expanded, there's no one way I could tell you, because there's I mean, Nick said it beautifully. Nick said it the way he said. He said it's like you make choices where you are because of choices you've made previously. And spiritually is the same path. It's like for you personally, all the spiritual choices you make have built you up to where you are now. It's kinds of works the same. And so the more you practice and the more you become, I guess I call it supreme really with it, the more is revealed. I guess I think my brother calls it keys. He calls it keys, and that's a way to look for it too. That's kind of this. It's that's why he made the song. That what was the holy keys? That's what they're trying. To say. The papal say is keys. It's like ropes and a kind of type of keys. There's a Rothschild. There's this little gold Rothschild key about this big, made out of real gold. You can get these for about, I think they're about 7,000-8,000, but they're a Rothschild key of gold that you can buy, about 7,000-8,000, to show you how important they think this key is, that they've brought that key down through and saying, this is something here. But that's kind of what it symbolizes. But that's, your path, and where it brought you to, and where you even, come to see me and the people that listen to me. Because I do try to look at things. Now I'm practical. I've said that, but I do try to give easy ways for everybody to truly tune into what's another part of this reality. I guess that's and a other part of thinking about how things are, and answering some of the questions and helping you decide how to answer the questions for yourself is, to me, more important. Like teaching, like they did in South America, teaching yourself. That's what I try to put out there is teaching yourself. Oh, okay. Good to know I'm not alone. Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh, hey, Sean, what's happening? And so these are just steps you have to consider. Whatever faith, whatever you think is going to happen to you as you move on. Because the problem is, again, if you don't practice now, when death does come, however it comes, you will tend to jump in the first thing that you see. That is just natural, because it's like Hanukab. Again, a lot of people think this symbol means, well, it's just this basically. Um, that's Hanukkah. See, they copied that. That's copied from this. This is older. And that's movement and measures. And awareness is really accounting and movement. That's what awareness is. I mean, look at a cell. Once a cell moves or multiplies, that's awareness, because it's moving from just from the most simple the simple biology, where you see this movement. Hey, Perspective Gaming, how you doing? Thank you for joining. And the thing is how you can connect to something like that. Again, it's really awareness, because awareness goes with awareness goes with Hanukkah, or Hunab Ku. Hunab Ku is how you pronounce it. Hunab Ku. Yeah, Hunab Ku. That is the symbol of it. What is it? I can't think of the other stuff, but the Chinese one. That's all. And so, just spiritually preparing for when the time, because most people don't study death. Most people would rather avoid it like it ain't there. And you see it all the time. I mean, bugs is the easiest way we see it. You can just squash a bug. So, but it's something that everybody can prepare for, because it's really, this awareness just doesn't go. Now, it ain't like they show like in Soul, where your awareness is just buzzing around. They were right about I've said this before. The part of that show where Jamie Foxx played, or Soul, it was called. When they showed his awareness, going through Acoustic Records, I've said that before. That's kind of a real thing, but it wouldn't be like with your body. It would just be pure awareness, and that's a hard concept for a person that's never left their body to understand. That you don't really get prepared. And so that's why meditating, however you do it, is really important. And it's good for your health. I mean, meditating helps your breathing, but it helps you center. And that's the thing. Now, I've said before, you can blink and have a meditation, especially if you're doing a meeting or a pitch and you're trying to get the room to follow you. You can regroup by the breathing. You can regroup by blinking. I mean, you can get a whole hall full of people to blink the same way you blink. It's not really hard. It's kind of a spell, but it's not hard to do, and it's not harmful. It just, people will hear you a little better if you get them to do that. That might be a little much for people, but it's not a controlling. It's not a controlling spell as you're controlling what they think. Not that. It's just their breathing. Your breathing is all on the same accord. You can do that just by blinking. You can purposely blink and get that breathing pattern going while you're speaking, and you can get a whole room to do it. I mean, maybe that's how you'll practice, but you can get larger and larger rooms to do it. Because I'm gonna brag a little bit. Reffing a basketball game in high school, and the fans are going crazy, and the fans, it's like a timeout, or we call it a tech on somebody or something. And it's like, within a matter of moments, I was able to kind of change the scene just by me blinking and me regrouping. And it was like, before I knew it, it was like the people like went and sat down, game started back, we blew the whistle and went right back. And it was just a simple little thing I started doing with the breathing and the blinking. And before I knew it, the crowd had just I could just feel it. And I guess maybe some people hearing it would make you go crazy, but it was kind of interesting to defuse the situation. Oh, and I got volleyball in the morning, so always on the run. But the weather is still beautiful. It's October here, and it's been 70 all week. I don't think we're gonna catch a cold spell because there's been some summers where we've had to turn the heat on by now. And now it's still running fans and having the windows open, running air. So that's great. That makes the winter not as long and we don't have to run heat. Yeah, it's gonna be shoot. Oh, Saturday, it's gonna be 80. So I'm definitely getting some pickleball in. Nice day. Yeah, I'll get a good sweat. So I look forward to it. How long I've been going? Okay, not too long. Not too long. And I was just thinking, like some people are relationship people, and some people are health people, and I guess I try to hit a little bit of everything to just show people how people can become balanced. Become balanced and really balanced in your spirituality, which will reflect in almost everything you do, because you'll be able to see things. You'll be able to see things from a new perspective, because one of the practices is reading people for sure, read the crowd. But what eventually you should be able to do is not only just read, like when you get into a situation with people, be able to kind of hear what they're thinking, even as you're coming and approaching to the situation. Being able to put yourself in their shoes that quickly, and so you know how to come at it. Because as soon as you're like going into it, you can kind of read it, but not only read it, just sit there and like turn yourself to them for a second and hear what they have to say and be like, okay, and then come back and say, okay, this is why they're saying that, and how to diffuse it better, how to read people better, because you're centered. That's the thing. It's like you don't have too many things that react. You're not always reacting. You're already just responding, not reacting through emotion. You're able to respond, to look at all of it with and taking out emotion, and the self-control it takes to do that. Now it's good to cry, good to scream, good to yell. I mean, all that is good. I'm not saying taking all that out, but I'm saying some people's situation, one thing maturity gives you is it gives you, not only you become more conservative, you become more patient. Instead of diving in. We all say it, but thank you for passing on your knowledge, Awin. This really means a lot. Well, thank you. That is very kind for you to say. But it's like we're all, we're all the teachers and we're all the students. That's all. That's all. We're all the teachers and we're all the students. And we're all responsible for teaching ourselves. And the thankfulness, being thankful. I think too often we're too hard on ourselves where we aren't thankful. Because it seems like it's always something out there you want to get. It's like saying that what you have ain't never enough. That's what it turns into. It's like it's never enough what you have. Oh, my voice is worse tonight. So sorry about that. Haven't talked in a while. And I ran out of all my lemon drops. I'm starting to be addicted to lemon drops, but they're very soothing. Oh yeah. I mean, we should all be a student. I mean, just every day is just something to learn more about yourself. I mean, sadly, we see the same patterns in people. And that's what I started the show talking about. Is like, here's a pattern that I'm used to already, but it's coming in a new package. But it's something that's been common to me my whole life, and if seeing it like this makes me just laugh, because it's almost something like this can't really be real. Not this can't be real. And too often than not, no matter what kind of situation, you can kind of sum up what you're dealing with pretty quickly. That's the thing. You can see what people are about pretty quickly. And that can save your life. I mean, it definitely can. I mean, you can look at somebody and And you think you need to pull them heats. Like I remember, like I hit at the crap table one time in the hometown, and like I hit them for some little nice little loot, and put them stacks in my pockets, all four of them, and pulled out my pistols and walked out the place because these was the kind of dudes that was like vultures. I watched them beat up dudes. Dudes hit and then they try to leave. They'll rob him when he try to leave. Same people be up in there and try to rob him. And that's bad business. But the dudes who I knew that ran the place, they really didn't keep them vultures out of there like that. They didn't think it was their responsibility. And the same guy that ran the place, he got hit with an AK about 7-8 times. Close range too. Two of them got hit about 20 some times. About, I think together they got shot about, he took 7. The other guy got shot 7 or 8 times too. So about 20 some shots. More than that came at him because it was 2 dudes with AKs. One died from the same little place I used to go to. Well, they had to cut the club down and they was leaving. And the dudes, and I'm not going to tell the story before that story, but dudes caught them. They're sitting in their car, and just like Sonny at The Godfather, 2 AKs just spraying the car. The other dude lived. One guy got killed. Can't never sleep. That's why I was. Somebody called me about that BMF movie when the first dude gets shot. I'm like, these are just the most nonchalant dope dealers I've ever seen on TV. It's just like, okay, and it was so. What can you run to the car and like really? He's gonna run to the car without looking at what's around you? I never do that. I mean, maybe that's from my days of being a cop, but I never go outside or go around without looking around me. Never do. Never is like not, especially like where you live. You wouldn't look all around you. Just like dee 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 dee. Where's the baby's pacifier? Dee 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 dee. What? Oh no! Shot in the face. Just don't get that kind of thing. I've seen people. I know a dude got shot in the head and the bullet bounced off. Didn't it hit his skull and it didn't go in? It ricocheted off his head. Lucky, I guess. Lucky, I guess. But I know the dude got shot with a 22, and the 22 went inside him and zigzagged all in him, killed him. Little bitty bullet killed him. One bullet. Never thought he'd kill somebody. But it went in him and did all that damage. Really helped myself with how to take information and to read the world because of she legit. Cause shit ain't easy. No, it ain't. It ain't. And it's a lot of curves, a lot of pressure. I say again is the pressure comes from it appears like their time is running out. That's what I'm getting at. And remember what I say about Planet of the Apes. They would rather blow the world up than give away the power. That's really how the people that really run things. My brother gave a thing. Let me say his name right. Or his channel. And he gave the name of the single entity. And so I'm not going to say it because you can just watch his stuff. But it seems like the entities that run things are just not as, Return of Thoth and Merlin and the Serpent. He says he reveals the name of the thing that's suppressing us. So check that out and get that information. And then you start looking that up and understand kind of what's behind all of it. Now, as you know, I don't believe what Zach says at all. I don't believe in anything, but especially what he says about the army. It's not the Jesuits. It ain't you saying the army rules everything. Ain't no. If you study history, there has not been one time where the army has been the sole ones that run everything. Even if you try to say Russia, no, it is bureaucrat after bureaucrats when you get to the president. Not the army specifically running the whole thing. It's not ran like that. Them people, we haven't, okay, think about it. Eisenhower was the last military person we've had be in president. Now, you might say Bush was in 2, and then W was not really in Vietnam because he was in the Guard. Bush was in the Vietnam. Bush was in World War II. But as far as a commander, the last commander we really had was Eisenhower. So I'll say Bush was in World War II too. But we just haven't had any military commanders be president in a long time. And so you just don't see it. And that's what the Jesuits are. They are the military and the intelligence arm of them peoples and the Vatican, but it's them peoples. So that's just what it is. That's what we're faced with. And that's why I point to Isabella. You cannot get past Isabella, where all them people started going into the Catholic Church. I mean, great numbers of these mugs went into the Catholic Church because other places wasn't taking them. That's why a lot of them came to America. Because at the time, France closed their borders. I'm trying to think. If you looked at all the places that closed their borders to them, it was quite a few when Isabella was putting them out. So a lot of them joined in the Catholic Church then, and they never went out. They never left. They never left. And Zach admits that the Jesuits did take in them peoples too, but it's like that they took in the Jesuits, but if they was already there. So more joined. Do you see my point? He even shows my point. More joined. Because they joined through the Jesuits. So you had them joining through Inquisition, and then you had them joining with the Jesuits, which was later. Because the Inquisition was what, Columbus, 1490. It went into 1489 or 1497. It was only a few years. I mean, it's technically on still now, but I mean, when they first put them screws to them people. Because when I was younger, they talked about Inquisition a lot more than they do now. And they would show movies where mugs would be getting tortured and stuff. It would be a movie and they'd be Inquisition times and they have mugs on the rack. And they have somebody on the rack stretching them like, give us the answer. No, and they'd look at the person in the corner and the dude looked like an Igor dude would do the rack harder. And this person is getting stretched to death. This used to be shown all the time. Inquisition, the mugs getting tortured during Inquisition. The Moors was fighting them. So it wasn't the Moors getting tortured. The Moors was part of the other army. The people didn't have army. It was about them. They was the one under Inquisition. I mean, when they went after them, they went after them. It was so hard that they got to the Pope and was like, you guys got to ease up. Because the first 2 years, they went after him. Isabella let them loose. Isabella, we got to think about it. Isabella is trying to deal with them and put them out the country, and she fighting the Moors. So she has an internal problem she has to deal with, and she's fighting another nation to put them out of her nation. Because those people rightly thought they owned all of Spain, especially the last part was Aragon. That was what it was called, the last stronghold, or maybe Tupelo. I don't think it's Toledo. Maybe it's Toledo in Spain. So these people by the thousands joined up with them and never left. And if you're not saying that, you're not telling the full story. You telling what side you on. And this ain't right or right. This is history. This ain't right or wrong. This is history. So show me all the books you want. You can show all these coded messages, but if you just saying it's one of them, that means you're on the side of the other one. Because if you support something, you support your view. So you saying that other possibility, and it ain't a possibility, it's the other, that you siding with them. You're giving them a pass. But that's up to you. But if y'all follow history, you can see who it is. You can see the entities, the demigods. The thing about it is, see, what they came across in America was what they thought was gods, and these is just regular dudes, regular people, but they was more than what they was. So that's where one of the terms of demigods went. That's like, where is it? Oh, it's in my bedroom. So, hey, Al Jannard, what's happening? Thank you for joining. But that's like I deal with Sharite, and Sharite is really good. Like even like Sharite, as I said before, this is a patite. Apatite is great to carry because this is really for the therapy for my hand. I'm normally always got this when I'm sitting because it just really exercises my thumbs. Like I can feel my thumb pop, and it's just I constantly do this, and it's not hyper. I mean, this is just helps keep my hand. Like I sleep with I sleep with my hands wrapped up. I gotta sleep with my hands wrapped up because it hurt keeps my thumb from like throbbing, so bad. So I had to wrap my hands up, just little hand wraps. But this helps. But spiritually, this helps you really reflect on the path. And I'm gonna repeat this over and over again. It really does. The Patak will really help you reflect on your path. As I've said before, like one of the one of our family members had passed, and the path that opened up. Like I was meditating and I saw the path, and I was like, "Wow, what is this path for?" And then later, the now ancestor had passed, and I was like, "Okay, that was for him." And then later, I got the vision of him like smiling and going into it. But it doesn't have to be that deep. I mean, your personal path. This will kind of reinforce far as inter reflection. Like it really will give you a good idea of inter-reflection. And I'm not selling this stuff, but I'm just saying this is kind of, if you need that, this apatite, and this is cheap. This stuff wasn't very expensive. Now, where Sharite, where it helps is it helps really looking at all the information coming in. Is it necessary? I mean, it's really that simple. It's like, is this worth bringing this in? It really gives you that. Because we have so many things, and that's why I've said before, my problem with Wikipedia is the rabbit hole. If you just go down certain rabbit holes, Wikipedia will keep feeding you that shit. It'll just keep feeding you. I mean, if you ain't really going to these libraries and getting these books, and you relying on this techno thing to pull out this information, it will feed you deep as you want to go. That's how it's made. Again, like the sister said in the Matrix, it's its function. It's to keep feeding you where you think you got it. It'll keep opening, and you like really thinking that this is it, but you've been deceived. You've been deceived. Because they don't want people to be in these books. I mean, I'm part of a group that sells mostly occult books. These occult books are serious. These occult books is all $2-3 grand. Now, why do you think these books is $2-3 grand when you can get this Harry Potter book that's $20-$30? You can probably get it $5 used. And some of these occult books is used. Why do you think those books have more value than the fairy tales we see now? Why do you think? What do you think? Don't you see that they're trying to, for most people, can't afford them kind of books. Like my Clavis Keys and my Skinner book have both held their value. My brother got a bunch of books that just have held and went up in their value. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just that's oogie boogie stuff? No, it's stuff in there they don't want you to know that they practice one, because you start to see their practice when you get into some of this stuff and you see how they do it. And it's easy to just like, okay, this is what you do. Well, you don't know what you haven't dealt with something like me before. So way to counter this stuff. I mean, really it takes some effort to do it. But I mean, that's it's like that's the one things they don't want you to like physics. They don't really want people to even study physics. They don't want you to know about that. They want you to like matter. And I'm the one that says matter don't matter. They want you to think is that the greatest mind is Einstein, the matter protector. They want you to think that that's the ultimate, that his stuff is the smartest of the stuff, and it's really not. It's not matter. That's not what all this is. Now, he helped around the time to come in with the quantum science, but they don't explain it for the average people. Here's supposed to be this thing that drives everything, and most people don't have any idea about what they're talking about. and why, they put time crystals in there so often, and the true meaning of what wants the time crystal in to be able to use it. That is what the Mai's main point wants it to be. He wants that. He's tried to steal this machine has tried to take everything on Earth to give it, to see if it could do, to be a time crystal where it doesn't need resources. But right now, its bits need resources. Again, I've said this before. They predict within a few hundred years, if we let this machine keep going, this machine will take away oxygen because bits will need the space. Do you understand? They're trying to put a full machine world here. If they're going to take away oxygen and replace it with bits, what kind of people do you think what kind of beings do you think they want to live here? It's machine beings that will breathe in bits instead of oxygen. And we are seeing one of the first implementations of that. I'll leave it at that. That is kind of why this has started now. I don't know. We don't push back now. Might not ever be able to push back. Because again, they ain't going to kill everybody. They can't. They might want to keep you living locked up miserably, but they can't kill everybody. They can't kill everybody in jails. You know that? They can't kill everybody. Do you know what happens if they do that? People are like the Matrix, and they, when you're in the jail, they feed your energy too. It's beings that love that. That's another part people don't really understand. That like the Matrix talks about a battery. A jail is a hell of a battery. A jail is a hell of a battery. I don't know if y'all get that. It is one hell of a battery. That's part of why they're in there too. They hone all that energy, and it's things that eat that. And that ain't nothing new. You should know that. It's obvious when you look at a jail that it's a battery. Matrix tries to show you that. They try to show you that every living people, but no, when they enclose all those people in there like that, that's nothing but a battery. It's unfree energy that can be controlled. They can be controlled and ciphered out. I used to go play basketball in jails. I used to take people to jails, and it's an obvious drain. I guess when I would play basketball, I did it so much, and then taking people there, and I guess it's a little late. I'll say this. I don't even know how I can say that. It's you feel a slight drain, but I guess because I've dealt with the jail in that regard, playing basketball in there, in this Jackson prison, or I don't even think it's open anymore. I think they closed the main old prison, but taking dudes up there and then playing in there, I guess I didn't feel the drain far as what people would visit people up there would feel. Because I remember I caught the bus. The first time I caught that feeling from somebody was somebody caught the bus, because the bus from Detroit would stop at Jackson Prison and pick people up. And I was never on there with a person getting out, but I'm pretty sure there's people that got out that had to go back Southwest Michigan. But you take that bus from Detroit, at one time it went to Jackson. But I remember sitting next to somebody, I just felt how drained they were. I'm empathic too. And I just remember that draining feeling them, but later playing in there, I didn't, again, I was able to exert myself and play ball, but it was still like a dark cloud almost. Even though I would know I would get out, I would still feel that dark cloud feeling. Even when I would take people up there, because I used to have a service where I would take people to Jackson, like people, like, I don't know if it was money for the sheriff, I don't know, but we had a contract where we took dudes to jail. We'd go pick them up and we would take them to different jails, different prisons. And that's how we got paid. That's all we had to do. We ain't had to do nothing. They was already handcuffed or switch handcuffs, put them in the car, take them wherever. And when you do that, you got to park in the jail and then you got to go into jail or prison. Well, we did jails too, but you'd have to go into prison. You park in the prison, then you'd have to go into prison. So draining kind of thing. Especially families got to go all the time. I've heard stories. It's a draining. So yeah, they're batteries. If nobody ever got that before. And that was part of the push of, that we saw in That's Reconstruction. And then we saw it again in the 90s under Clinton. Ismail, what's happening? Thank you for joining. Is voodoo real? Hey, B Brown. What does real mean, though? What does real mean? I mean, voodoo can be practiced, and it's a practice that has a lot of levels. I'm not gonna say their name, but a friend asked me, and I'll say the way to you, B Brown, for you even asking is like, is somebody, um, yeah, Key, Jackson, Michigan, is somebody in your family practice? Because normally, most people that ask, is it real? B Brown, yeah, B Brown Lee, if you're still listening, most people that ask about voodoo, um, they generally have a line of somebody that's in it. That's my first question. If you ask it if it's real, so it is real as you practice it, but is the practice real as a practice? It's how do I put this? It's a real practice, and not as a practice. I mean, there's aspects of it that have become show now, and you see it in movies, but there's other aspects of it that, like some of that stuff, they can't even redo. Again, if you study the Haitian War, and I've said this many times. There's some writings from British soldiers that the British soldiers said they didn't even see nobody fighting them. They said they were seeing sickles, swords, knives, getting stabbed, and they ain't see nobody. No people, but they getting stabbed, killed just by weapons. And that's one of the few cases in history you've heard of that kind of thing, is out of Haiti in their practice of voodoo. No, and that ain't been duplicated. Not really. Well, I can probably give you another story, but a little different, but kind of similar. I guess I'll say it's like you study when them Nazis first went into Russia and see what they was fighting. And I got that from the dude from Florida. He was the first to hit me to that 13th Sun cat. And I studied that stuff and found that stuff. But he was talking about them dudes that's going in there and they wasn't fighting humans. He was like, they was fighting demons when they first went into Russia. And that's why they say that some of that Holocaust in early Russia, that they was in there, but that's what some of them, you can find some of them Germans that survived that shit. And that's what they'll tell you. And it ain't the propaganda. They saying that that's what they was fighting. They was fighting demons when they first went into Russia. And them peoples was Bolsheviks, don't forget. And so that's another instance where little magic, and I'm sure, I've said it many times, magic has been used throughout history to change. I'm sure Napoleon got hit with the magic, with a weather warfare, and then so did the Nazis. Other than the Nazis being dumbasses too, but they got hit with weather warfare too. But I think Napoleon got hit with it, definitely. Took 1 million men in and didn't come back with but 30-some thousand. Lost a whole army like that. Hitler makes the 8th Army, I think it was called, surrender. Hundreds of thousands of men. Just like, fuck it. Don't have a strategic retreat. Now you tell me that's real. You just surrender all those people. Not a strategic retreat. Like, even if I was a general, and I understand following orders, but I'm looking at my men and I got hundreds of thousands of men in me, and this crazy man say don't retreat, and I know strategy, I would have retreated. Like, fuck him, let's go. That's what it's called, strategic retreat. You see it ain't formidable, you move away. And then him splitting his army didn't make sense. There was nothing to go to Moscow for. Everything should have went to get the oil refineries. That should have been the objective. And there's a bunch of other things. Rommel could have ended a lot of the war too. And then Dresden makes no sense. It shows you that stuff ain't real. Just draining and depressing. Yeah, it is. We have neighborhood here in Memphis named Voodoo Door Village. Oh, okay. Be very don't jump in head first to that stuff. See who's faking and who ain't. If you visit it, it sounds like they probably got shops to sell shit. So see who ain't faking and don't get tricked by tricks. But if that interests you, find somebody real. Might have to take you a minute to find somebody real, not somebody trying to take advantage of you. Because it is A lot of practices that are interesting. I'll say that. A lot of practices are effective. I mean, it's a hmm. It is a magic where you can kind of follow the magic. It's interesting like that. It's like what you'll read in the, you take a witch and a witch will give you a formula. It's very much like that. And I think a lot of what was copied by what's called Wiccans and witches now is kind of seems to appear to come from Voodoo, because a lot of the formulas you'll come across, you're like, wait a minute, I've seen this shit before, So, but they do it the very same way, where it's a practical way you can do things, and it's simple, simple way to fuck with people. Man, it's so bad up here now, environment wise. You can definitely feel that energy up there. Yeah. Well, like my mother's 80 years old, and like what she says, food don't taste the same, water definitely don't taste the same. We think because we drink out of these plastic jugs, or even if you get the big purified water, that's still city water. That's what makes me laugh. Like they said that Walmart water is the best water, but it's just nothing but city purified water. It ain't nothing new. Filtered, well, no, it's just purified. Yeah, just purified water. And like I've worked at a couple of distill or beer factories where we'd make beer, and you got to have purified water. And it's not hard to set up a purified line. That's not hard. I mean, and that's why what you're seeing in Walmart ain't no different water, other than they have a purified system in there that water has to go through. That's all. But it's still they getting fed with city water. It ain't nothing. It's still city water. And all the water we buy in jugs get put in big tanks. There's only one type of water up here that goes straight from well to bottle, and that's our Chippewa Fall. Anybody live up in this part of the country, Chippewa Fall water, they do have plants that go straight to bottling. Very few though. Very few do that. That's why Chippewa water is more expensive, but they make the cheaper ones too. So it's what people have to understand is like where they get the water. It all comes from basically the same source, but it got different names, but it's the same source. So all you can do is just live your highest you. Keep your vibe high as you can. And I'll say this: be here now, because illusion will take over. That's part of Alzheimer's. You get stuck in illusion. Memories are okay, but they can take you over. Past memories can take you over, and that's what, because a lot of people get caught in that fog of past memories. That's why you can talk to a person with dementia or Alzheimer's. They'll remember years ago, easy. They just can't remember where they live, might not remember their name. But you get stuck in that. And as you get older, that's more pleasant, because what's around you ain't pleasant. So that's a lock almost too. And I mean, I know the food in the air, but that's a type of lock that they do to old people now. Old people are steered to that. It's not that all the space is just taken. It's like the space that's left gets locked into, illusion. It's easier to put them in illusion, especially as you get older and you don't have things to stimulate you quite. And it's what you eat and certain things put in you, but that's part of it too that you have to understand. When they have that faraway look, they're stuck in that. Because it's not like they're not thinking. Like if you hook them up, it's not like when a person dies and they don't have any brain waves. These people still have brain waves. They still dream. I mean, that doesn't go away because you have dementia. It doesn't go away that you don't dream. Dreams never came from this anyway. I mean, this gives you suggestions, but dreams are on your own. So that's why reading is great. And I've said before, Facebook is great because you can read. But just I've got books everywhere, and just open them up sometime. Get off this thing and really hold a book. The energy in a book. I mean, I know a lot of people don't understand it, but I mean, this is This comes alive when you read it. It has life when you're reading it. As you go through whatever the information you're getting, it's alive, and then it stays patiently when you put it down. It doesn't take away from what's there. What is there is still there when you go back to it. So keep that in mind. There's a whole life in books and having books around you. I know in the history, people got sick from old books. Didn't realize that you have a lot of books. You got to have a good system. I watched a story where these historians both got the same disease: the daughter and the the daughter and the father, because of being around. The books get moldy in the paper, so you have to have a good system. That's why in what was it, Dungeons and what was the Tom Hanks movie where he's chasing around? Remember the Vatican library, and the Vatican had to have the air system. It's because of that. All those old books in there, you got to get some of that mold and that stuff out. That's to make you sick. But they show that in that movie, whatever, the Dan Brown book, Demons and some shit. But that's a part they show you, and that's why you have that for old books. Like those of you that have been up in D.C., what is it called? The Library of Congress. Same kind of deal. Same kind of deal. And people don't understand. Like Tasha, she makes videos from up there, but it's a lot of information up there. And you can go look a lot of this shit up. It's like maps up in there that you can see. There's old maps. It's quite a lot of information that people wouldn't think that you could acquire up there. Some of the stuff they show in these museums, like is interesting. That they expose some of this stuff. Because they try to hide a lot of it. Angels and demons. Thank you, Sean. Yep, angels and demons. That's it. But that's what they show, because at one point they get stuck in there. But it has to be, so be careful with that if you get a bunch of old books. Be careful. But remember that. You get, half a library full of old books, you're going to have it, the air nice. That's the better thing about newer books. They don't carry that kind of mold that you'll find from older books. I think my oldest books are from the 30s. 30s or 40s. They're like the second printing of the dude who talks about Mu. And he got fooled by some information, but some of the information was enough to like, okay, thank you for giving me that. And that's what it is. It's like my brother got on me. My brother was like, yeah, you got to push through the books, because I get so frustrated. I'm like, read this bullshit. But it's sometimes it's not just the dogma of the subject. It's a lot in there they'll mention you, and if you don't read it, you'll miss. That's a good point. Well, I better go to bed, because I do have to get up in a few hours to go watch little girls play little girl volleyball. But that's the life of a father that had a child at 50. It's one thing my brother and I both did. We both had children in our 50s. Must be some good lineage we come from or something. Well, thank you for engaging with me. I appreciate it. If I can get with Crazy Sard, to get with my brother, I'm gonna try to do, because I'm gonna play pickleball, and I'm gonna go earlier tomorrow since everybody's off. I want to play pickleball early, so I'll show this. We got college football day games too. Let's shoot for I couldn't come on any earlier than probably 9 my time. So 10 Eastern. So I'll try to come on about 10 my time if I can. Yeah, because my daughter will be sleepy by then. She got a full day tomorrow. So I'll try to get them together. And I might try to do the call-in show too. If anybody wants to call in, I'll try to open that up too. See if it'll work. So, well, as I always do, and I got it right here. I want to finish the night with Mora. Give you a little time walking information. As I've said before, Mora is a word of, if you talk about, the thing about it is like you take Hunab Ku and you look at the creators had to have energies to work with them. And so that's what this is. And so when it gets into the time walker, to understand that it took a whole civilization to really go in building other civilizations. It's like, I know I said something that I agreed with Brother Sanchez, where, It's like you kind of turned around and civilization existed. But I've talked before how it appeared like in one reality everyone was just born from this cave, and there was just all these like human shapes, but more looking like big nose amphibians. And it's like just everywhere was this kind of thing. But my point is this would be the kind of thing that the time walkers would do, is they would start this kind of thing, because by creating these beings that were once all looked alike, these beings became everything. I mean, all the animals, all the insects, they became everything. But the time walkers would still have to set something like that up, and after a while even participate. I mean, even if we look at this thing as an illusion, it still had to be steps of setting it up and then making the beings, believe into the thing. I mean, if I've said before, and one thing about, I want to mention this about people talking about mud flood. I've said this before. These trees that we around ain't old. They're not old unless you live way out west. Most trees in your area, in my area, is 100 years old or so. That's impossible in this world. That is impossible, that we only live around 100-year-old trees. This was once just a tree nation. Now, that gives the possibility that the Europeans came in the country, and I've watched a video where they did wipe out all the greenage, pretty much. You can find that. You can look it up. But how is it that everywhere you go, you only see 100-year-old trees? How is that possible? How is that possible? In a country that used to be just all trees. And I said before, the original Americans didn't cut trees down. They would go out and find trees. There was so many, again, this is tree land. So the original people on the coast didn't have to cut trees down. They would go find trees, because there was so many trees. You would just find so many dead trees and down trees that's all you needed. You didn't need to cut down trees. So if that existed and that don't exist anymore, what happened? Like, what happened to all the trees? Did they really come and cut down all the trees? Or is this just reality ain't that old? Many say, and I know Quantum of Science said it, but there's others that say it is like when they talk about the mud flood, they talk about it, starting from teenagers, and that I saw society had just bloomed, so it didn't just start with teenagers. That's why I try to tap into that kind of thing, and I'm like, it's always at a dead end, because you're saying the teenagers didn't remember, and teenagers would remember. Now, did the teenagers have a code where they couldn't talk about everything as they got older? Well, they brought us here, and it was first just us. No. So that's another thing that you have to look at our reality about. So Mora, it all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact numbers of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization they created would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent, otherwise known as our Milky Way. And as the mind would say, I am another yourself. This has been this version of the Chocolate Mountain Show, the coughing, choking version. I used to love those series of movies, but realized that's always agenda behind it, but it's also pretty decent information. Yeah, it really is. The Godfather series too, because you watch Godfather 2 and they show you who came over on ships. It ain't the people from Africa. It's them people. Them people came over on ships. That's what the Godfather 1 or 2 shows you. And see, they try to slip that past people. That them peoples came on ships where they didn't get to go. They supposedly rode on the top of the ship. I don't know how they did that all the way, because it's points in the ocean where you can't be on top of the ship. It'll wipe everybody off. So I guess they had to put them in cramped quarters underneath. We need to see a blueprint of how they cramped all them Europeans on them boats. Because you see pictures and it's like, how did all these people be when they had to, because it's rough water sometimes. It ain't always just we can just the whole trip we are just able to, just sit there on the top of the boat like in the Titanic. We're just the whole way is not rough. It doesn't rain and no storms. It ain't like that. So let's see some pictures of that shit. How they crammed them people on them boats before they came over here, and some of them will still come over here on wooden boats. So we see who came over on the boats. That's why history is important. Oh, well, everybody, stay smooth. Enjoy your weekend, and look for me earlier tomorrow. I hope I can get everybody to participate. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Till we meet again. Thank you.